Welcome to the BFF Report. I'm your host, Mike B, aka Phony, and today we're going to be talking about a game called LA Noire. Now, this game just came out, and getting tons of reviews all over the place. Most of them seem to be pretty good. I do think, however, that a lot of us were expecting one thing, and what Rockstar gave us was something completely different. Let's check it out. Alright, before we even get started, let's go and get this out of the way. Yes, the base technology is awesome, okay? I'm pretty sure that we all know this by now. We've been beat over the head about this in all the reviews, okay? It's kind of like watching Tron. You see young Flynn, you're really creeped out at first, and then later on, you're just kind of like, whatever.
Roger, 14 Adam en route.
The character you play, his name is Cole Phelps, and he's a decorated ex-Marine who has tons of flashbacks, and he has a silver star, but doesn't want to talk about it, and, you know, all this stuff. He's just got so many problems. But now he's a cop, and he's working the beat, and his first case is to investigate a murder or homicide, and the detectives don't feel like looking for the weapon because, I guess it's because it's a low-life Negro. Don't believe me? Watch.
We have the Vic, Scooter Payton, a Negro male bagged up and on his way to Central Morgue. Give it your best shot, guys. The dead guy's a lowlife. I'm not expecting any miracles here.
You're gonna see a lot of that in this game. You're gonna see a lot of sexism, a lot of racism. There's even some statutory rape. They're not afraid to show real-life scenarios that did exist back in 1947. It's just the way the world was back then. I'm not saying that kind of stuff still doesn't exist, but the world is okay with keeping blinders on and looking at history like, yeah, we sure were messed up back then. ... All right, now let's talk about how you interact with your environment, right? So you get on the crime scene, you walk on, right? And you're walking around with your flashlight, you know, and you're kind of, you see an item, you're like, oh, what is this? You pick it up and you're like, that's just a beer bottle. I'm just gonna move it around, jiggle it around a little bit for no particular reason. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it down because it has nothing to do with my case and keep on moving. It's like, oh snap, what is that? That's an item that I could go ahead and inspect. I'm gonna inspect that item, check it out. Okay, yeah, this is definitely part of the case. And then I'll say something snazzy like,
instead of dropping it down a drain, our shooter hoists it up here. Interesting guy.
And then we move on with trying to solve the case. Now, the way the game actually plays is you run around until you hear this. And then you start mashing the A button. And you gotta hope that you're actually standing like in the right angle to actually get this item. You're like moving around. Okay, now you can pick it up. And then you pick up an item, it has nothing to do with your case. The guy will say something like,
doesn't look like anything.
and when you pick up something that does have something to do with your case, this will happen. It'll zoom in,
FN Browning,
the little scribble on the side,
011.
and then it'll say something cool like,
Might need to run it by a gun store.
now if this bothers you, you can actually turn off the clue music. If you don't want to have any of that kind of stuff running in the background, you want to just kind of get in there and start mashing your A button and just forever looking for clues, then fine, so be it. And that is how the evidence gathering phase functions. The next part is interrogation. Unless it's a side mission, pretty much every case you take is going to have interrogation in it. And you have three options when you're talking to people. You could say they're telling the truth, you could say you doubt them, or you can flat out call them a liar. Selecting the correct answer will play some fancy music. Selecting the answer that's not quite right will play some fail music. And if you say that they're lying, you have to prove it by going through your evidence log inside of your notebook. And in most cases, the only way to know what questions to ask is by going around and gathering evidence. So you always do the gathering evidence phase first, and then you go talk to them. Otherwise, you may only have one question for them, and then you walk away with the completely failed interrogation. Now, if you call somebody a liar and you realize you don't have enough evidence to back that up, you could back out of your accusation.
Sorry. Sometimes you have to shake the tree to see what falls out.
And if you keep selecting the wrong answers, they'll eventually just clam up and just get pissed. Here's an example where I'm talking to a gentleman about a car that has tons of blood inside of it, and we're having a conversation, and he eventually gets pissed and says this.
Shift today. Your boy should learn some gratitude.
Now I go back and redo that entire case and ask him all the right questions, and I get this.
If you have to, I guess. I can't really spend no more time over this.
So even though there's no morality meter, there's still consequence to the questions that you ask. Eventually, I got into my first fist fight, and I didn't really fight him at first. I kind of just walked around the room, just kind of see how long he'd chase me for, and he chased me for a very long time. And eventually, I turned around and gave him a quick uppercut and kind of ended the fights, and then arrested his ass. Occasionally, you'll get into a good gunfight. Some are better than others. Lots of foot chases, lots of car chases, lots of, you have to tail somebody, right, and not stay too far back. You lose them, or if you get too close, they're going to notice you, right? Stuff that we've seen in the GTA series before. There's just not like a ton of it there to satisfy the average GTA player.
I will shoot. Too late, Kalu.
Heavens to Betsy.
Which is totally fine. I mean, who says that you have to have the ability to run around and gun people down at will? I'm not saying you can't just jump into a vehicle and just drive down a sidewalk or throw it off a cliff and land on people and all that stuff. You can do all that stuff all day. It will warn you and say that, oh, Phelps is a nice guy. You probably shouldn't do this because we're going to penalize you at the end of the case notes. Now, if you're okay with a slap on the wrist, nothing's gonna stop you from doing this anyways. I drove around causing all kinds of havoc and everything. Most people can dive out of the way of a car, but occasionally I'll hit them and maybe there's not blood and stuff everywhere. It doesn't say that they died, but trust me, some of these people died. And at no point did the game stop me and say, guess what, you're fired. So, whatever. Now let's talk about intuition points. You could use these for assistance whenever you get stuck during almost any portion of gameplay. For example, if I can't find a particular piece of evidence and I know that it's around somewhere, I don't want to walk around all day mashing the A button, guess what? Bam, intuition points, there it is on the map. Or let's say I'm interrogating somebody and I just can't tell if they're lying. Why are they looking all over the place? Why are they making that face? I don't go outside and talk to people face to face. I don't know what it's like to actually do this. This is crazy. Well, guess what, man? You're in luck. Use an intuition point, it'll remove one of the answers. It's very much like that Millionaire show, right? I'm gonna use a lifeline. And the other one is poll the community, and the community will tell you, oh, we all chose this one, right? And sometimes that's actually wrong, I found out. That's kind of funny. But these points are something you don't have to spend. You can just use them whenever you just don't feel like thinking or you just really don't understand how to talk to people.
Very shady character.
Outside of the standard point A to point B case progression, you could take part in a few side missions or other metagames. One example would be dispatch calling for assistance at a nearby location, and 3 for 3 so far have been chase this dude, shoot him in the face, and then there are other Easter egg type features like discovering rare concept vehicles stashed in garages around the map. They're marked with an icon, so finding them isn't too hard, and driving them isn't really all that fun. I mean, like, what is this thing? But for the completionist, there are plenty of side quests to keep you busy for a while. Speaking of vehicles, forget having cool car flip videos. I'm convinced you cannot do a flip in your car, and I feel like I've tried everything. I've gotten so close in some cases. And also, there's not a lot of like set up jump off points, right? Or ramps to throw yourself off of for fun. I feel like I've tried everything, and it kind of sucks because that's part of the fun of having an open world, is being able to go and do whatever I want and having those little things there to kind of assist me in doing stupid things like launching my car off some bleachers. Sure, oh, I can't do it. Lame. Outside of car chase scenes and Easter egg hunts, there really is no point in driving around LA Noire. It looks like they know this because they've given you the option of making your partner drive, which takes you to any location almost instantly. By the time I had finished like the first several cases, I have actually ceased driving altogether because it's just not fun. Crazy, right? A Rockstar game where driving has 0 replay value? That's what's happening here. Once you take driving out of the equation, playing this game is like playing an interactive CSI or a Law & Order episode. And while I'm immersed in the game right now, because I just bought it, I already know that I'll probably end up playing the last half about as often as I watch House, which is once a week for about an hour. Alright guys, question of the week goes to the people who actually own a copy or have played extensively anything else in the GTA series, including Red Dead Redemption. We're going to throw that in there too. Do you think, if you've played this game, or maybe if you're holding out on it, I want to know why you picked it up or why you have not picked it up. And if you picked it up, what is it about it that you really like that maybe sets it apart? Like, how do you compare it to the other games in the Grand Theft Auto series? Or why does it maybe totally piss you off that you spent, $50 on this title? Let me know, comments below. Hit me up, aka Mike B on Twitter, Facebook, and I will see you guys next week. I did say Blended Soul last week, I think, but unfortunately that game actually isn't even out in this country. So please don't suggest games that are in English because I could barely speak just the English. I'm telling you, I'm terrible at it. I definitely can't speak anything else. I'll talk to you guys later.